I guess probably the most disappointing thing, he has to be the fourth quarter. Fifth game in a row, you guys just have struggled putting points up.
Yeah, not the most disappointing thing. Most disappointing thing is that we lost the game. So the point is on the fourth quarter is what you're trying to ask, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's what you're going to ask. Yeah, you need to finish games. And, when they put points on the board, you got to be able to drive down, execute a drive, put a touchdown. What we need this time, we need to score touchdowns. So you got to be able to put one in the end zone. And, we had our opportunities. And that's what it comes down to, the execution of it. The one thing about playing this game is you got to be on point. Today, I think we were off in some areas. We did some really good things. I did think we ran the ball well at times. I thought we had a good screen game. That's an easy completion. And we got a couple down the field throws. We didn't hit many. And we got to the red zone there. They did a good job on a couple of plays. I thought we could have executed a little bit better. And we could have called some better plays too to put them in a better situation. But that's football. That's what happens every single game. And at the end of the day, you got to find a way to put points on the board if you need to, or to hold them. If you're up and it's a tight ball game, I did think our defense played well. They ended up making a few throws outside of the perimeter there in the fourth quarter, and they were getting first downs, and they were getting some explosive plays out of that, and tighten up in those areas. But no, I'm most disappointed just for our seniors, for our team. And, what I see, there's a lot of fixable things. There's a lot of things out there that I know we could be much better at. And so that's the reality of it. Is it something that we can come back and address and it's very fixable? Absolutely. Is it something that we have to be aware of at all times? Yes. And finishing games is a big part of that, which it's not so much about finishing games as it is just consistent execution. So you got to sustain the effort and focus necessary to be successful in a game. And the fourth quarter happens to be the one that gets magnified because it's the last quarter of the game. It's a continuation of the execution that we should have throughout the entire four quarters. In my opinion, we're not as consistent as we need to be, and those are fixable things, and we'll fix them. We'll address them. We have, but we'll address them better. We'll fix them, and those be things that we improve on, and we want this next year, and hopefully not have those same issues moving forward.
Bryan, what did you see on the penalties against Smokey as well as Joe?
Yeah. Same thing you saw, right? The replay's playing, so the same thing you saw. What did you see?
What I saw?
Yeah. Why don't you answer that question?
In my eyes, I didn't believe it to be.
Yeah, I think you're talking about targeting. Targeting is a hard one because it's just different. It's different with different crews. It's different in different leagues at times too. And I don't know, the guy upstairs that calls down and makes decisions on it sometimes. Those decisions, they decide if it's defenseless or did he use the crown of his helmet. And the situations, and you got to look at the game too. The game is just this bang bang plays. That's one of the things, and both those plays were bang bang plays. There's an interception and an immediate response. There's a slide, and quarterbacks, they all do it a little bit differently. So when a guy slides, the timing of it and all that, and you're going down, but you kind of know as a quarterback too, like when you slide, you kind of get a sense. They took the fake slide out. We saw that. All right. So I just, it's disappointing. I don't agree. I don't disagree that there needs to be, targeted calls because, that's what protects the game. I just think it's hard to make those decisions. I really do. So I don't envy the officials how to make those decisions because you pull a guy out of the game, a senior, for example, that doesn't get a finish. And that's a tough one to swallow. So when those things happen, it's difficult, but it did, and other guys had to step up, and so that's just part of the game.
How much does losing two guys of that caliber impact the defense?
Well, I think anytime you lose a starter, every starter, every guy that that's played for you, there's a reason why they're starters, so it impacts your team. All right, and if the guys behind them were that good, they'd be starters. So it does affect your team. When you lose a starter, because you don't just lose that player in that game, you lose the 185 reps he took that week. Right, you lose a guy as your left tackle on special teams on punt. So you lose the guys that took the reps, that were in there, that got all the coaching points, that went through the film, that watched themselves. So when you don't have your starters in there, you lose a lot of experience, just a lot of things that happen throughout the season, especially in the last game. And yeah, the next guy has to come in there and step up. And I think there's some things physically that guys can do, but there's not the same amount of experience that your starters have. So that's really what you lose. You just lose that little bit of a guy seeing something on the field because he's already seen it 3 games ago that makes a call and a decision to get us in the right coverage that another guy may not see. And so, yeah, when you lose anybody who started for you and played a significant amount of snaps, that does affect your team.
And Brian, TJ had some really great throws and then missed some guys downfield too. What were some of the encouraging things that you saw from him, and what do you sort of want to work on most with him this offseason going forward?
Well, yeah, the encouraging things are the throws he made, the ones that he didn't. We just got to give our guys a chance. And sometimes, the wind's a little bit of a factor at times. And, there's obviously there's pressure. It's not like you drop back and set your feet up. You're sliding and moving. There's all these little factors that just you have to adjust. So there's always little tiny tweaks at that position that you're just maneuvering through in a particular play. And at the same time, you still got to give those guys opportunities. And I know he knows that. I thought the decision making wasn't bad. He was going to the right guy. So we were making the right decisions. We were throwing to the right guys. Now we got to execute a little bit better on the throws. And I say that without watching the film. I mean, I think the receivers did a decent job of getting themselves open, their opportunities to go make plays, and then protection as well. So there's always little factors that show up in the game. But TJ prepared well. He cares. He knows what he's doing out there. He did some good things as far as checking us out of some bad plays. And so he made decisions that way. And, again, he's a young player. He's a young player that didn't have a chance to play a ton this season. And now he's into, the starting role and a chance to go out there and really learn as he develops himself. And so this offseason is going to be big. There's a lot to learn from, and we're going to move on this offseason and start preparing him for what we do moving forward.
We'll have time for 2 more questions.
Coach, I mentioned this yesterday. You said you had a game to be played before you could really assess, but overall this season, just kind of, I know you just got off the field and you have some kind of thing, but what's the message to Auburn fans as well going into next year and the future of Auburn football?
Well, again, I'm still not going to assess the season yet until you actually have a chance to go back and dive into what did you learn. That's really what you do. You dive into what you learned from you, and you go back and evaluate every single thing. As far as our football program goes, I think there's a lot of things that we learned this year that we know we have to be better at in order to be the type of caliber program that I think we could be.
Please say a command.
USB.
Every single
USB.
what we do matters. Just at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. I think teams that have success and organizations that have success, then everything you do matters. So the way that we prepare, the way that we work, the way that we do things, and I thought we did a really good job of that. We had some really good things. There's a lot of focus and attention. As things get easier or you start to win and you have success, you have to make sure that you go back to what you were doing at work. And so, I think depth is a factor in our football team. And, we're obviously having a chance to bring some guys in, and recruiting is a big factor. All right, that never ends. And so, we'll continue with that. And then we'll get our players to really focus on things that we know that we have to do better. We'll take what we learned from this season and then go apply to next year. But as far as what those guys in that locker room want, they want to win. They want to win a championship. They want to be a team that goes out there and plays 4 quarters and has success and fights like we've seen these guys fight. They want those things. So we have to do a great job of continuing to emphasize that and make that a major part of our program that, you know, is consistent. You know, I think the inconsistency showed up more this year than the consistency did. But we're not going to stop. And that's the beauty of it. You know, I told those guys, I learned more this season than I've learned any year I've played and coached. And so that's motivating going into the off season that, hey, these are the things that we can fix. And they're very fixable. And that's the best part. I mean, if I didn't think that they were fixable, you know, you'd be miserable. Like, this is just how it is. Well, it's not like that. They're very fixable. There are some things as far as an attitude and a mentality that we do need to fix. Not just within our team. I mean, just our program. And we're here to do that. That's the challenge. So all the things that we know we have to do, we're going to focus on that. All the things that I think from the outside perception that everyone thinks we have to do, we're going to focus on those things too. But, you know, nobody's going to go in there and just hang their head and just say, well, this is just how it is. No, we're going to change it. We're going to fix it, and we're going to get better. At the end of the day, I mean, there is no plan B. All right, there's plan A, and we're here to make this work. And we got a staff and a group of players that are all willing to do whatever it takes to make it work. So at the end of the day, that's it. And so, you know, we'll be driven, we'll be motivated, you know, whatever extra pressure that's not really going to be needed to be applied, because we already feel that. We want to win and we want to be successful, and Auburn football should, in my opinion. So there's things to clean up. There's a lot to do, and, you know, we're here to do it. So these next couple of days, we'll reevaluate kind of where we are. We're going to dive right into recruiting, and we're going to get back together as a staff, and we'll go through what did we learn, which is the season. We'll get Austin Davis here on staff, and we'll have a team meeting on the 11th, and we hit the ground running. And we're not going to back down. I mean, that's just the bottom line. We got a lot of work to do, but we know where we want to be, and the guys that are in that program, the guys that are in our program, they're going to be a part of what we're doing. They're going to have the same mentality too. And I know they are, because there's a lot of new faces that are going to be sitting in that team room very soon. And I know there's a lot of guys that are coming back that want those things. So that's the encouraging part. If I didn't feel that way, I wouldn't say it. But it's a few things here and there that we have to clean up and get better at. It's a few players and things that we can do better as a staff that I know we can do better, and that everybody on that staff wants to be better at. So that's the encouraging piece. You know, and we're going to go back to work. That's what we do. And so our guys know that. I know that. And, you know, that's what I'm looking forward to. You know, this game is disappointing. I'm also, you know, once we get back to Auburn and we have a chance to kind of sit back there for a few hours and take all this in, we'll get right back on to what we have to do to be better.
On a question.
Ryan, I know Chandler said he'd rather have 0 tackles than win than have kind of game that he did lose, but just from your perspective, what's it mean to see, you know, a guy like him, a senior team captain, someone you said you've had a lot of respect for since that first meeting, just go out and, you know, leave it all on the field like he did today?
Yeah, well, I mean, he had a turnover today. I love Chandler, and I really do. He's one of those guys that you want in your organization, period. You know, he has presence. He's a great father. He's a tremendous worker. He's the guy that does what he says he's going to do. So, I mean, that's why he's a captain. And, you know, I do respect that. So, like I said, I'm disappointed that he didn't have the results that I think he deserves, and the guys in that room deserve this season. But that doesn't take anything away from Chandler whatsoever. Like, that guy, I would take that guy in our building 10 times out of 10 and on any team I've ever coached. So, I mean, that's the bottom line. So, like I said, the results don't show what our team is really made of, in my opinion. And I think that's the one thing that's disappointing, is you don't really get a chance to to share that with many people because the record we have is not what we wanted and not the expectation around football. But there's a lot of great people that are in that locker room. He's one of them. So I know that, and that's the beauty of being a head coach. You get a chance to touch the lives of so many different people. We got fantastic people in that locker room. We just don't have the results yet. Yeah, and those results will come, and those seniors, although they're not playing, will still be a part of that in the future. And they know that, and I know that. And so to go back to that question, where we're going, the people in our football program know. It's just a matter of time.
Medical Properties Trust, at the very heart of healthcare.